It's clear that at the moment we cannot fight with those cars.
You have to believe that you are always the best, right?
Listen, guys, hold on, because what's happening in Formula One right now is something nobody saw coming. The FIA just rewrote their own rulebook in the middle of a season. Emergency meetings, last-minute changes, safety alarms going off everywhere. And right at the center of all of this chaos stands one man who called it years ago, fought for it publicly, and basically forced the most powerful organization in motorsport to admit they were wrong. Today, we're breaking down exactly how Max Verstappen went to war with the system and started winning. What actually went wrong with the 2026 rules? Now let's actually understand what these new regulations broke, because this is the core of everything. The 2026 cars run on a 50-50 split between combustion power and electrical power. Sounds great on paper, right? More electric, more sustainable, more exciting. But the reality on track was something completely different. To recharge the battery, drivers have to physically lift off the throttle on the straights, sometimes even downshift at speeds close to 300 kilometers per hour. This is called superclipping, and it creates a terrifying problem. Because when one car is in harvest mode and slowing down on the straight, the car directly behind, still on full power, is suddenly closing in at around 50 kilometers per hour faster than the car ahead. That is not a small gap. That is a crash waiting to happen. And then at the Japanese Grand Prix, it actually happened. Oliver Behrman hit the barrier at 50 G in exactly this kind of situation. The drivers had warned the FIA about this specific scenario 48 hours before that crash in the official Friday driver briefing. Nobody acted on it. The warning that got ignored. Now, here's the thing that is driving me crazy about this whole conversation. Everyone is saying Max is only criticizing these regulations because Red Bull is slow this season, like he is just a frustrated champion who lost his rocket ship and now he's crying about the rules. But guys, that is completely wrong, and the timeline proves it. Because Max started criticizing these 2026 regulations back in 2023, when he was literally dominating every single race on the calendar. He was winning championships by massive margins. Red Bull was untouchable, and still he stood in front of the cameras and said these new rules are going to be a disaster. He pointed out that drivers would have to downshift on straights just to manage battery energy, that the whole concept felt broken, and that the racing would become unnatural. So no, this is not frustration talking. This is a man who read the data 2 years early and nobody took him seriously because he was too busy winning. Max's real fight? Using the system against itself. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. This is the part most people are completely missing. While everyone was writing headlines about Max being unhappy, Max was actually doing something much smarter. He was figuring out how to force the FIA's hand. He went on record saying the regulations are fundamentally wrong, not just slightly off. He rallied other drivers, made sure the criticism was collective and loud, and then dropped something genuinely clever. He told the media that if the FIA frames these changes as a safety issue, they can push rule changes through without needing every single team to agree. His exact words were, "If it's all about safety, it's easy to fix things. Maybe we should use the word safety for it." That is not someone sulking in a garage. That is someone who understands the political machinery of Formula One and is using it deliberately. He gave the FIA a roadmap to fix the problem without losing face, and then he sat back and let the Behrman crash do the rest of the talking. The Red Bull problem fighting in a broken car. And if all of that wasn't enough, Max is doing all of this while driving what analysts are calling the slowest Red Bull in 11 years. The RBCO2 is sitting around a second off the pace in qualifying, which puts them in a battle with midfield teams, not championship contenders. The car is roughly 30 kilograms overweight, it has serious balance issues through corners, and both Verstappen and his teammate have called it genuinely difficult to drive. Here's what makes this impressive, though. The engine is actually competitive. The Red Bull Ford power unit is not the problem. The chassis around it is. So, Max is out there every single weekend, managing a car that his own team admits has significant shortcomings, while simultaneously campaigning for rule changes, while simultaneously keeping Red Bull motivated to fix the car, while simultaneously staying loyal to a team he calls his second family. That is not someone who has given up. That is someone grinding through the hardest chapter of their career. Building an empire outside F1. Now here is something that completely changes the narrative people are pushing. While Formula One was frustrating him, Max wasn't sitting at home feeling sorry for himself. He was building something. He entered the 2026 Nürburgring 24 Hours race under his own team, Verstappen Racing. He raced a Red Bull liveried Mercedes-AMG GT3 with a strong lineup alongside him. And in the NLS1 preparation race, he qualified on pole by 2 seconds, and his team lapped the entire field. On his first proper test at the Nürburgring last year, he drove under a fake name to avoid attention and still broke the GT3 lap record. This is a man who, when one door frustrates him, kicks open 3 more. He is not retreating from competition, he is expanding it. The 24 Hours race at the Nürburgring is scheduled for May 16th and 17th, right in the middle of the F1 season. He races because he cannot stop racing. The bigger picture. So let's bring this all together, because the picture here is very different from what the headlines are telling you. Max Verstappen warned Formula One in 2023. Nobody listened. He showed up to 2026 preseason testing and called the cars anti-racing. Still, nobody moved. Then a driver hit a wall at 50G, and suddenly the same FIA that ignored him for 3 years was holding emergency meetings, rewriting regulations, and adding new safety systems before the Miami Grand Prix. His voice moved the most powerful organization in motorsport. He didn't leave Red Bull even when he had every contractual right to. He is racing at the Nürburgring with his own team. He is pushing the FIA from inside the system with strategy, not just emotion. And through all of this, he is showing up every single race weekend and giving everything he has to a car that honestly does not deserve him right now. This is not the story of a champion who is fading out. This is the story of a competitor who refuses to let the sport he loves become something he does not recognize. My opinion? Max Verstappen is not fighting to leave Formula One. He is fighting to save it. Now I want to hear from you. If the FIA had listened to Max back in 2023, do you think Formula One would be in this mess right now? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's talk about it.